Hello and welcome to the GTPlanet Sports Car Series here today at Mount Panorama. The Bathurst circuit plays host to the qualifying session for the round of the championship, the third annual running of the Bathurst 12 Hours, and we're set for a very exciting race, or qualifying session, I should say, prior to the race. Indeed. My name is Tom Brooks. Great to have your company. Thank you so much for tuning in this evening, this morning, this afternoon, or wherever you are listening. It's great to have your company. Alongside myself this evening, we've got David Fuller. Evening, David.
Evening. Can you guys hear me?
We can indeed. Yep, loud and clear. How are you today? Okay?
Good. I am great.
Fantastic. And we've also got Andrew Mather in the commentary box. Hi there, Andrew.
Hi, Tom. Great to be back. Looking forward to this one round Mount Panorama.
It's a mouthful, I've got to say. Fantastic. It's looking to be very good, I've got to be honest with you. Entry list-wise, as I'm sure you'll have seen if you've been categories, will be taking to the race track today. Do we have any confirmation as to whether the session is underway?
The session is underway.
Fantastic and brilliant. So hopefully we'll get a visual on that at some point in the not-too-distant future, which will be marvellous. But yes, great to have your company, by the way. If you have just tuned in to the GTPlanet Bathurst 12 Hours of the GTPlanet Sports Car Series, the third annual running, it's great to have you along. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as soon as we get a visual on the qualifying session here today, we'll give you an idea as to how things are going. Early lap times, I believe, probably haven't been settled. They may just be setting their first sort of lap times. Of course, we've got the GT3 Pro cars out there at the moment, Andrew. How's the track looking? Is it looking nice and bright and dry and everything seemingly okay?
Pretty much perfect conditions at the moment, Tom. The cars are just making their way down towards the chase now to finish their out laps. Quite a few cars bunched up together there. I can see 5 Zygon in the Audi R8, line facing the Mercedes, GTP Passam in the Bilstein Audi R8, all in very close company as they will start their flying laps in around 20 seconds time or so. The cars that have got themselves a bit of space, Random 90 in the Nissan GTR, that's the YouTube liveried machine, and Push the DZ in the BMW Z4.
Fantastic, really great stuff here at the Mount Panorama circuit. Looking forward to the action coming onto screen fairly soon, and we'll give you a more in-depth analysis as to how things are looking for qualifying. This session, of course, comprised of 20 minutes. I believe there's an unlimited amount of laps that drivers are able to set, but it's looking to be very, very interesting indeed. We now have that visual on screen, which is fantastic. You can see there's 17 minutes now remaining of the session so far. And we're currently looking at the Audi R8 of Team Redline GT, the number 30, that's just gone through the right-hander of Quarries and heading up the hill to come back down it again after a quick left-hander and then down through the cascading S's. And it'll be interesting to see, actually, when we get the TCN-1 cars on track later on in this qualifying hour, as it were, how the different lines, or what the different lines will be between the two cars, and just exactly what sort of different differential in corner speed we'll be taking. But really enjoying watching the number 30 of Team Redline GT at the moment, one of 2 British outfits in the GT3 Pro class. That's alongside Reaper Online Racing in the number 48 Mercedes SLS, and hopefully we'll catch up with them later on. But early indications of lap times there, David. How are things looking out on the track?
They're just coming back around to the chase right now. We're just waiting on them to cross the line for the first laps. Probably in about another 45 seconds. So they're looking to be running about 2:10s to 2:15s today.
Okay, fantastic. We can see their live timing on screen now at the moment. And look at the difference in first and second and third sector times. Fastest first sector time at the moment goes to TNR Zygon with a 42.7. However, the fastest second sector belongs currently to, I believe, TRL Evolution. They're in 4th place, the Swedish driver who is competing in the Avalarion Racing car. No, I apologize. Rather, competing in the Team Redline GT car that we saw earlier on. But you can see the difference in sector times there. Now looking over at the Bitter Rivals Racing, number 47, coming out of the first corner and heading down the mountain straight before that assault through the series of corner. There, meanwhile, is the Avalarion Racing number 33 Audi something I've certainly been missing in the GTPlanet Sports Car Series. Very, very prominent it was.
We have our first laps in. With a 2:01.341 setting the current fastest, TR Evolution is pole sitter right now. Close behind 2:01.8 with Zygon and 2:02.8 with Pasm. So those three are within about a second of each other, second and a half, I guess.
Fantastic. So lap time's nice and close, even at these early stages. And of course, with the short length in this session, under 15 minutes now remaining, we should be very much expecting lap times to come tumbling down and getting closer and closer as the field bunches up in order to be able to try and set the best time for the best grid position possible for the start of the 12-hour race. On screen at the moment, there we can see the Nissan GTR that I believe is of the Team-Wise Racing outfit. No, so I apologise. It's the Nismo Race Honours racing car, the number 1 outfit, I should say, rather. That makes more sense, doesn't it? That's currently being piloted by Random 90. As we cross over to look at the BMW Z4 of ABC Racing. They are currently in 6th position. Slight clout to the barrier there, going through the S's. I don't know if they sustained any damage. The car looked a little bit skittish going through there, and understandably quite unhappy with the balance of things at this stage in qualifying.
TNR5 Zygon doing a very, very quick lap at the moment, but once again, it's TRL Evolution who's fastest in sectors 1 and 2. Bit slow in sector 3. Going to see in a moment what the second lap times will be.
Fantastic to see.
Zygon has improved by a 10th, but that is still not enough to take the lead. He has a 2:01.7 instead of 2:01.8. Pasm has also... Sorry.
Looked like to me, David, that Evolution's just banked a bit of time there. He just stepped out of that last lap. I think he had a bit of a mistake in sector 3 and a very slow sector 4, but he's now got a bit of clear track ahead of him, so we could be looking out for a very, very quick lap this time around from TRL Evolution in the Audi R8.
Yeah, we look forward to that. Sorry, as you were there.
It does look like the track is kind of busy at the moment for these guys. Zygon has a well-clear track, and these other guys are right on top of each other, so that won't bode well for their times, I'm assuming, on this track.
Trouble for the BMW guys. Push the DZ has come into the pits with a lot of damage. He's on his way again now, but a lengthy stop there for the BMW, and a lot of time lost, and not what you want in this qualifying session.
Do we have confirmation of how many cars will be qualifying for this race?
We do not currently at the moment. No, I believe not. There is on the entry list one car that is currently not in the field, the number 123 Team-Wise Racing Nissan GTR. So they will not be taken to the grid, having not set a competitive lap time. But in terms of the TCM runners, of course, which are expected to, I believe they are all in attendance. So we'll have all but one car on the entry list, hopefully on the grid.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Very quick sectors being turned by TRL Evolution again. Fastest again in Sector 2, and he's just set his personal best in Sector 3. Just coming out of the last corner now to finish what I believe is flying that lap number 3. The time is a 2-minute 1.066, so a new provisional pole there for TRL Evolution.
That's fantastic to see, and you can really see the difference in lap times between Lionface, who we were watching in the Mercedes SLS. He set a 2-minute 2.3 on his last lap, which is his personal best lap, but TRL Evolution, especially with that slipstream down the very, very long back straight and heading through to the chase, was really able to take advantage of that and has pulled out a good margin of 0.7 of a second at these early stages in the race there. Andrew, this is going to be qualifying, rather, I should say. It's going to be very, very important to be able to get that advantage.
Yep, TRL Evolution, you've got to tip your hat to him. He did an absolutely brilliant job there. Recognised that he was being held up by some of the cars. Got himself enough of a gap to mean the most of his lap wasn't compromised. But then, as you say, Tom, got that massive draft down through the chase and in through Sector 4 and has put in a really fast lap time there.
Fantastic to see. Looking there at the number 30 Team Redline Audi R8 as we cross back to the other Audi R8. Still in that slipstream of Lionface. obviously that slipstream, because he was in a similar position last time around, was TRL Evolution. Obviously that slipstream is able to really manage to have quite a benefit in terms of straight line speed, as you would imagine, but not hold him up too much in the twisty sections such as going through the S's. Let's just see how much of an advantage this will be. What sort of lap times has TRL Evolution been setting? Has it been a bit slower perhaps on this lap there, David, or has it been around about the same?
It has been just a wee bit slower this lap than normally, so he is suffering a little bit from traffic.
Yes, indeed. There we are. Going into the pit lane now, does TRL Evolution. So perhaps opting to maybe put a new set of boots on the car and go...
That would be PASM that's in the pits, not Evolution.
Oh, apologies. Yes,
You're right.
Still looking at Lion Face there. And as you say there, pass him in the pits. My apologies. Yes, TRL Evolution, of course, in the number 30 Team Redline GT Audi R8. Look at the lap times there. So no purple sectors for anybody on that last lap. You can see everyone's sort of setting personal best. Random 90, who is in the number 1 Race on Oz Racing Nismo car. Down a bit further than they would like at the bottom of the field. A best lap of 2:04.4. In comparison, as we know, the best lap time is a 2:01 flat. There's TNR Zygon, who's having a pretty good run so far in the top-notch racing number 15 Audi R8. And sitting in second place with a 2:01.7. So 7/10 adrift of the top runners, but really getting very, very sideways and a bit skittish. Going through the S's, not looking comfortable there at all, Andrew, behind the wheel of that Audi.
No, definitely pushing very hard. He set his personal best in Sector 1, but lost a lot of time in Sector 2 and will have lost even more time there with that massive slide into Sector 3. Just wonder, we'll have to keep an eye on Passam and see what kind of lap times he can do. He's put fresh rubber on the Bilstein Audi R8, and it'll be interesting to see how fast he can go now in the next couple of laps.
Evolution just best Sector 2. So he's on his way to improving. Best Sector 3 now as well.
Very impressive that Evolution seems to be able to have held onto the tyres. And I wonder, guys, is that a tactic that Evolution has been playing? Because I've noticed, David, that he tends to do a very, very fast lap, then one that's maybe 4 or 5 seconds off the pace, and then he goes again for another fast one. Is that a bit of strategy potentially for the number 30?
Possible. It puts him in a good position to get drafted down the backstretch. He just set a new best lap at a 2-minute 0.8.
Yeah, it's possible. I mean, it's the old Formula One tactic, isn't it, really, where they used to go, especially in the days of groove tyres, set a fast lap, go for a slower lap the next time around, and then with that heat still in the tyres, able to go for another fast lap again and hopefully avoid out on some of the traffic. Just over 6 minutes and 50 seconds remaining of the session here. Looking there at...
He is going very slowly down the backstretch. So he is gapping himself a lot of space.
Understandable as well. I mean, although this circuit is a 2-minute lap and there's only 7 cars on track, it is easy to get caught in that sort of congested area. Someone who's not suffering from that is TRL Evolution, of course, out there in front with a 2-minute dead 0.889 second lap. What an astonishing lap time. And of course, this circuit, the Mount Panorama circuit at Bathurst, it's quite a circuit of 2 halves, really. Do you opt for the lower downforce setting in the hope that you'll be able to gain some straight line speed, but suffer a disadvantage in the midfield section, such as GTP Passam is going through now? Or do you opt for a higher downforce setting to make more time up through the corners, and then when you go along to the straightaways, have a lesser of a straight line speed? By the looks of things, Andrew, at the moment, people opting for a sort of a lower downforce setting. The cars look very, very sideways and very tail happy going through the S's especially.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a qualifying session after all, so you're going for raw pace and raw lap time. Come the race, though, this time next week, not sure we'll see these setups here again. A lot of teams will be looking for, typically, a longer, better race pace, keeping the tyres in check and not wanting to see those cars squirreling around, especially over the top of the mountain.
I don't know if it's just me or what, but my race setup is generally looser than my qualifying setup.
I'd love
when
to.
I'm out there on track.
I'd love to make a comment, but I haven't sim raced since July last year, so it's been a long old while, unfortunately. There we see the lap times once again. TRL Evolution with the fastest lap of a 2-minute 0.9 in the pit lane at the moment. Perhaps opting to take a few minutes and maybe go up for one last sprint to the flag. Of course, you'd have to do that with a bare minimum of at least, I should say, 2.5 minutes to go to get round the outlap, maybe 3 minutes if you're opting for a slow.
He'll have one lap.
Yeah, it will be a one-lap down to the finish. I think TRL Evolution, though, is probably aware that they've done it. He's aware that he's done enough, really, more than anything. He's over a second clear of their nearest rival of TNR Zygon in second place.
TNR5 Zygon doing a good first half of the lap, though. He's just taken 0.2 off of his personal best through Sector 2. Got to give a shout out to Push the DZ as well in the BMW Z4, who's pulled that Z4 into the 2-minute 2s. It's not enough to take 5th place or higher, but he's now just 1/10 of a second off Ronno Thomas's time. Good improvement there by Push the DZ.
Fantastic to see. Still looking then at the nearest rival to TRL Evolution, rather. That's TNR Zygon in the number 15 top-notch racing car coming down the mountain straight, or the back straight rather, the Conrod straight as it were, as we cross over to Lionface. He's not too far down the road. A couple of positions further back than TNR Zygon. Lionface sitting currently in 4th place in the number 47 Bit of Rivals racing car in the Kiwi Run outfit. And in towards the final few corners on the lap. Oh, opting for a bit of gravel there, unfortunately. Little bit deep into that chicane. Very easy to do so. Such a high closing speed you have coming through the chase. In towards the final corner of Murray's then. And on towards the straight for the perhaps penultimate time you would imagine to cross the line. It's not going to be anything particularly spectacular for Lionface, and indeed it's not an improvement on his best lap. Ronno Thomas, though, on a 2:02.5 crosses the line on that last lap, but he was just a few hundreds, 600ths of a second slower and was not able to get himself ahead of Lionface on the road. So 5th place still for Ronno Thomas and 4th place for Lionface currently. And it does indeed appear that TRL Evolution, guys, is going to be staying in the pit lane for the remainder of this qualifying session.
Yeah, I can
Don't put
understand
miles on your
that.
car if you don't have to.
Absolutely. I was just going to say as well, it's there's no point risking the car and no point risking potentially ending up in some form of incident with another driver and potentially getting a penalty for it. So wise decision there from TRL Evolution and the team. This battle, though, for 3rd through 6th, really intriguing. It's going to be interesting to see who can pull something out of the bag, if any of them can pull something out of the bag going into the last lap or so. Yes,
indeed. Really coming down to crunch time. Just the final couple of minutes of the GT3 Pro Class Super Pole qualifying session. Vaughan, look how close to the barrier the Avalarion Racing number 33 car of GTP Pattern was there. That was a bit of a squeaky backside moment. Just coming through into the S's now is the Audi R8. Keeping things on the straight and narrow and facing in the right direction, which is the all-important factor, but nonetheless losing a little bit more time than they will have liked. But I don't think that they're going to be in any sort of position to be able to jump TNR Zygon at this stage in the race, such as their sector times and the fact that they kind of look to be a little bit all over the place in this lap. So perhaps it could be a bit more damage limitation for the Avalarion Racing team at this stage in the race.
Absolutely. Drivers on the move as well. TNR5 Zygon has just set his fastest lap and is suddenly down to a 2-minute 1.1. This isn't over. If there's 3 more tenths, they could take pole position here. Lionface has also just put in a 2-minute 2.309 and pulls the gap a little bit close to pass him. Big drama here going into the latter stages of this qualifying session.
Yes, indeed. Let's have a look then at the live timing as we're under the 1 minute barrier now. As we know, TRL Evolution not opting to go out on track, and a fastest final sector it was last time around from TNR Zygon. This is his last opportunity to be able to jump TRL Evolution. It'll be an almighty lap if he's able to do so. Further down the order, not much change really. A couple of personal best sectors from Lionface there. TNR Zygon, rather, I should say, of course, with that fastest final sector overall in the last lap. Will he be able to take advantage of that? Let's have a look at his second sector time. It was ever so much quicker, I do indeed believe. things really hotting up now with just 10 seconds remaining. Of course, drivers able to complete the laps that they have started. But guys, out there on track, it is absolutely action-packed, as you would begin to expect.
Absolutely. Five Zygon's got to really pull something out of the bag over the mountain. He is the quickest over the mountain in Sector 3 last time around. Sector 4 as well, he's also dropping a couple of tenths there. So, but he's 3/10 of a second down on his previous best over Sector 3. That's going to be too much, I think, for Five Zygon to pull this back and take pole position.
It would be an almighty final sector. What Zygon needs now really is a slipstream to be able to get himself up ahead of TRL Evolution. That would really give him that straight line advantage on this final flying lap. But I don't think he's going to be able to do it. So, David, how are things looking out on track for the American driver?
He's crossing the line right now with a 2:02.4 was his last lap. So his best lap is 3/10 off of the pole position.
That's a real shame for TNR Zygon. So that then is, I believe, your completed lineup. No one really on a better lap, unfortunately, I'm afraid to say. All sort of grey sector time. So TRL Evolution will lead the field in the Bathurst 12 hours next week, closely followed by TNR Zygon in the top-notch racing car. So it is the Swedish driver of TRL Evolution in in Team Redline GT's Audi R8. So two Audi R8s occupying the front row. Second row will belong to GTP Passam in the Avalarion Racing Audi R8. Fourth place, rather, I should say. And on the second row of the grid will be Lionface in the Bitter Rivals Racing number 47. Renault Thomas was in fifth position, as we saw, of course, in that qualifying session in the Reaper Online Racing number 48. Alongside him will be pushed the DZ, which is the number 41 ABC Racing BMW Z4 that we saw going very sideways. And then rounding out the GT3 Pro class, rather, I should say, is Random 90. Rather surprisingly, in the number one Race Honours racing car, not setting a hugely competitive lap time there, unfortunately. Look at that, amazingly, a good few seconds behind the top guys of TRL Evolution and TNR Zygon. But, gentlemen, what a qualifying session we had there. Very, very action-packed in GT3 Pro.
Absolutely great work from TRL Evolution, what we come to expect from him, and got the job done early on, got it done whilst the track was clear. Fantastic work, but what an effort from TNR Zygon, really, really running things close in the end. 0.2 seconds down, really good work, and if they can carry that kind of speed over into the race, they'll definitely be a factor. Great battle as well from third through to sixth as well. All those drivers, Passam, Lionface, Ronald Thomas and Push the DZ, really close together. That's got the makings of a great race there come next week. And Random 90, good pace there. 2 minutes 4, not the worst pace in the world. And it'll be interesting to see how the team goes on through the race.
Yes, indeed. So looking there at TNR Zygon, the safety car, of course, guiding the field back around and into the pit lane. So we will move on from the GT3 Pro class all the way over to the TCN-1 category. And that, of course, features a few less drivers, but I'm sure the same amount of action on track. In fact, I believe, actually, it is the same number of drivers. So, yes, indeed, it is. 7 drivers will take to the field. So that's going to be very, very interesting indeed. We'll run you through the entry list of that fairly shortly. But what an action-packed qualifying session we had there. We thank you so, so much for tuning in, by the way. Don't forget, of course, we'll have this race live in its entirety next weekend, and we're looking forward to that immensely. I distinctly remember commentating on the Support V8 Vigilantes race this time last year in the Chevrolet Camaros. That was absolutely stunning, and I'm sure the full endurance race is going to be exactly the same this year for 2016. The third running, of course, of the GTPlanet Bathurst 12 hours. So then we wait. So we wait for a final few lobby changes to take place. Confirmation, of course, that the lap times will be set. And then, of course, as soon as the drivers exit out of the lobby, we'll have the TCN-1 category drivers coming into the lobby, and then we'll be able to get the session underway.
My drivers will be my other driver will be in the QP3 session. Jamie21 is my second driver. So looking forward to seeing how he does. He was setting some pretty fast laps in practice during the last week.
Fantastic.
Good to see again a good turnout of people in the YouTube chat, all the familiar names in there again. Thank you for joining us, guys. The likes of Future F1, Pointless, Rocker238. Great to have you with us for this qualifying session. Put in the comments who you reckon is going to be up there at the front of the field for the TCN class, as we switch into Quali Practice 3. GTP Bambi's giving us a hello, comms. Hello, Bambi. Good to see you back with us. Is going to be...
Yes, indeed. Fantastic. So we thank you for joining us for the third annual running of the GTPlanet Bathurst at 12 hours. It's great to have your company, by the way. If you have just tuned in, it's fantastic to have you along. We're here in the commentary box. We've just had the GT3 Pro qualifying Super Pole session here at Mount Panorama, and we're moving swiftly on to the next and final category this evening. They're going to be setting their qualifying times in the TCN-1 class. Myself, Tom Brooks, in the commentary box. Alongside me is Andrew Mather and David Fuller here. Do feel free to ask us any questions throughout the qualifying session if you should so wish. Of course, all we're waiting now for are the finalised lobby changes to take place. Different characteristics for the TCN-1 cars on track, and different cars altogether, of course. So any questions you'd like to ask, we do, of course, welcome them up here in the comms booth. Anything we can answer, we will we will try our hardest to be able to.
This is interesting. I was just looking at the rulebook. It says that we should have had 8 GT3 Pros and only 6 TCN-1s in the actual race. But with one of them not qualifying, does that mean 7 TCN-1s will make the race?
I believe that we'll have 7 GT3 cars and 7 TCN-1 cars will take to the grid. So we'll have 14 cars in total for next week's Bathurst 12 hours. But, of course, what we'll have to wait for is official confirmation of that, which I believe will go up at some point early next week. So everything, of course, that happens today is here provisional. And as soon as we get official confirmation of the running order, or the starting grid, I should say, from AJ, will give us probably a clear indication. But I would hesitate to guess at the moment, given the amount of cars we've seen on track, that we're going to have 14 runners taking to the starting grid next time out, unless we can get team-wise racing for the GT3 Pro class to get some special dispensation to go on track. But I would imagine that's probably going to be quite unlikely, given that their drivers were absent from the entry list.
That's what I'm looking at right now. AJ is expecting 8 GT3 Pros and 6 TCN-1s for the race. He says expecting, though.
Yeah, things don't always work out as they seem sometimes, unfortunately. Question from European Racing League TV. I have a question. Is there going to be anything like FIA WEC, perhaps, in terms of the GTPlanet Sports Car Series? Well, there's different categories that take place or run over the course of the season, so you never can count it out. We'll have some prototype cars, of course, in the mix. We'll have some GT3 cars. It's quite difficult, of course, due to game limitations, to have a mixture of GT3 cars, or as you would call them in WEC, GTE cars, and then GT AM cars as well, and so on. So more than likely, we would see a mixture of GT3 and prototype cars throughout the year.
I am looking forward to getting on our next gen systems. I'm not exactly sure which platform he's going to use for that right now, but he has been doing tests. So next gen systems should allow us to have better connections and better racing, as I'm hoping. With this being on an old gen system, the connections have not always been the greatest anymore. So here's looking for new and better, I hope.
Yes, indeed. So we can see the first of the TCN entrants joining the lobby. Fantastic weather conditions and track conditions here for the drivers that are going to be heading out on track today. Of course, like we say, if you've got any questions you'd like to ask us, do feel free to pop them in the comments section on the YouTube live stream. If you perhaps have something that you would like to ask us, maybe about the race next weekend, about the coverage that we're going to be offering here at GTPlanet, something along the lines of that, maybe a question you'd like to ask one of us commentators, I'm sure we'd be more than happy to answer it. Or anything about the regulations, of course, in the different categories, etc. Or about the starting grid as best as we can fool you, and we will try our hardest to be able to do so. But drivers now entering the lobby, and hopefully we'll have them out on track fairly shortly indeed. With the QP3, the QP4 lobby, yes, QP3 lobby rather, going live at 11:30 UTC, which will be in just under 4 minutes' time.
We got a question from F1D3LT that I'll pass over to you guys. To Com's, thoughts on Mint GTR's appearance next weekend?
I'll let you go for that first there, David.
Not 100% sure. Really looking forward to it, but we'll see how he does on track.
Yeah, time will tell. Of course, it's always difficult to judge somebody's what's the word, pace, shall we say, or performance on track, because of course tracks differ over the course of the season, so it's always difficult to judge it based on sort of qualifying and practice appearances, etc., and so on. So we'll wait and see how things get on, but I'd imagine it'll be pretty competitive. He wouldn't be here if he doesn't feel like he's going to be competitive, I'm sure, so it'll be interesting to see, I'm sure.
I think it's good to have him back, though. We've had him in the sports car series before. He won the Silverstone 12-hour last year, so he's been a bit in and out, I think, but definitely has a lot of experience. He's done very well in GT Academy, of course, but yeah, it'll be interesting to see with some of the newer faces that we've seen come through in maybe the last 6 to 9 months. Yeah, it'll be very, very interesting to see, especially around this place. He knows the Bathurst circuit so well. It'll be interesting to see how he measures up, but he'll be there at the front. I've no doubt about that. Thanks to Bambi in the chat who fed through some of the times from QP1. Just to pull out the TCN-1 times from that session, Storm Pacer for Tyre took a 2-minute 15.1 to get round. Bambi himself for Dragon Razor Racing was a very quick 2-minute 13.2. DEPR for Hyperion, a 2-minute 14.118. And Aceboy127 for ARS, a 2-minute 16.65. So I think that's what we're going to be expecting, guys. Probably around a 2:14, 2:15 for the majority of this TCN-1 field.
Yes, indeed. We've had a question through on the chat. Somebody asking how to sign up for the GTPlanet Endurance Series. Well, it's probably a little bit late now, I would hesitate to say, ahead of this season. Or you might be able to get in for some rounds later on this year, but it would probably be as a one-off entrance. So there's always teams and drivers looking for sort of new meat, as it were, on the driver market. So all you have to do is go over to GTPlanet, providing you're over the age of 13 and, of course, are able to stick to the rules and regulations of the GTPlanet site, is go on over to there and sign yourself up. You can click on to the Gran Turismo 6 forum and then go into the different sub-forums, GT6 Racing Series, GTPlanet Sports Car Series, and then there's the driver market thread on there, which is a pretty good place for new members of GTPlanet perhaps to go if they want to sign up to this series, or pre-existing members of GTPlanet who are thinking, yeah, I'd like to have a bit of a go at that. Why not?
I'm posting the link into the YouTube chat right now for you guys. So if anybody's interested, this is where you're going to go. It's in right now. Oh, it didn't go through. Never mind.
All that expectation for it all to fall flat on its face. Fantastic. I think I'll have a screen in the session. There's no cars currently out on track, but there we are, yes. So 38 minutes and 30 seconds there and thereabouts remaining. And indeed, there are cars on track. My apologies. I was quite incorrect in thinking that.
We do have cars on track, and it looks like the Affliction is going to lead them around for the first lap, so he'll have the clean air, but there's a tight group behind them. I think they're trying to separate themselves a little bit.
Forgive me, I can't remember who it was in the chat, but I did see a comment on the Toyota GT86 saying that they've got very, very good straight line speed, so it's something we're going to have to watch out for, especially down the likes of Conrad Straight.
Yes, indeed. So looking there at the Toyota GT86 of Dragon Razor Racing in the 168, I believe, that's now out on track.
166.
So it is indeed, yes. So the 166 car that's currently out with the Affliction behind the wheel, by the looks of things there. And coming down the Conrad Straight and heading in towards the chase for the first time. So no competitive lap times. Everyone else on their outlap. And, of course, it does beg the question when you're on your outlap, do you push hard and get the heat into the tyres, or do you perhaps go a little bit sooner, or perhaps go a little bit slower, rather, I should say, on the outlap, but not have that sort of crucial heat into the tyres by the time you start your flying lap? Interesting tactics that these drivers will be employing. There goes the Renault Megane through the shot of the Green Hell Heathens in the number 75. Just behind them is a very, very sideways Lexus CCR of the Wheel Racing Limited number 72 car, the only local team in the TCN-1 category, pulls into the pit lane on their in-lap. So just an installation lap by the looks of things there. I'm not entirely sure whether they clouted the barrier, but there we are. We've got the Green Hell Heathens team with David B 165 setting their first lap time.
Two cars to tell you about that have had to come into the pits. I think you've mentioned already, Tom, that Chris W265 is in the pits. 72 and 78 both in for driver assist adjustments. So both those cars coming in now. I should say as well, Swift Autosport, which is the driver of the 78, has also had damage on that first outlap, a bit of damage to the rear left-hand side of the car.
Thanks for keeping us informed there, Andrew. Very, very sideways from the Green Hell Heathens, number 75, going up the hill. Or more namely, I should say, through McPhillamy Park and into Skyline, and then into those series of cascading S's in just a few moments' time. This, of course, the very difficult part of the lap. Meanwhile, there is the number 42. That's the Hyperion BMW 320i. I believe the only standard car in terms of the GTPlanet Sports Car Series in this TCN-1 category, and indeed throughout the entire field. Still a fine-looking machine, I must say, and very, very sideways-looking machine as well. The Dutch Run outfit, the second of 2 Dutch outfits that will be on the grid in a week's time for the start of the Bathurst 12 hours. Currently sitting there in third place overall, having not set a competitive lap time at the moment. And we should get the first sort of times rolling in fairly soon there, David.
I'm ready for it. As soon as I cross the line, I'll let you guys know what the times are running. The 166 just ran a 2:15.2 for his outlap.
Okay, so good to get a nice little benchmark there of how things are going. Let's see in comparison how those times will come down over the course of the session. Just under 35 minutes remain. Of course, an average of over 2 minutes a lap here, around about 2 minutes and 10 seconds there and thereabouts, 2:15 perhaps. Let's wait and see as the car of the Endurance Experience number 76 comes across the line. It's a 2:15.2, which slots them up into second place at the moment. So we're looking at around probably, I would imagine, a 2:14, 2:13, potentially high 2:13 mark come the end of this session. Maybe even a bit quicker than that if they can pull a little bit out of the bag. But at these early stages in the race, or in the qualifying session, I should say, rather, it's looking pretty calm, pretty steady out there. Certainly not the flurry of action we saw over the 20-minute session in the GT3 Pro class, but everyone who's out on the track has said at least a personal best sector somewhere through there, aside from David B there in 4th place. And David B, of course, is behind the wheel of the Greenhill Heathens number 75.
Amazing to see how close all the cars are on that first lap. The top 3 covered by, pretty much 0.2 of a second, a 2-minute 15.065 to a 2-minute 15.264.
Swift
really
Autosport
close.
had a big incident coming out of turn 7, I do believe. Turn 10, I'm sorry. A little bit far off.
There we are. Looks like they've kept things under the straight and narrow. There's number 42 going through the shop. We've got the Greenhill Heathens just behind. So Hyperion of number 42 and Greenhill Heathens of number 75 are very close on track. I should say the other way around. Heathens ahead of Hyperion at the moment. Will the BMW be able to get a little bit closer and perhaps on the next lap use that to their advantage and get themselves a quicker lap time? They're currently sitting out there in front at the moment on the 2:15 flats, but it's going to be a tall order to be able to set a quick...
The Affliction has set a 2:14.9.
So that's a 1/10 of a second quicker then than the number 42 of Hyperion at the moment. Into the final corner of Murray's comes the BMW 320. Out of it now, powering onto the main straight. About to come across the line. It's going to be a slower lap time, quite significantly slower actually. That was a 2:16 for the team there. A 2:16.3. That was a woefully slow lap time, unfortunately, for the BMW. Meanwhile, there is the Lexus CCSR of the American Racing Series group. We haven't mentioned them in this qualifying session so far in the number 71. They're coming down the mountain straight. Their best lap time of a 2:17.9, so somewhat slower than the rest of the field around them, sitting in 5th place out of 7th in the TCN-1 category. But we'll wait and see how things continue onwards during the course of this qualifying session.
Swift Autosport is in the pits due to damage to his car. I believe he has got some further down the mountain as he was trying to recover the car.
I think most of you guys in the chats have spotted this already, but do be aware on the timing screen, at least in terms of best lap column, there are a few glitches in there. A couple of times that you see in there are actually inherited lap times from the GT3s earlier, but the order in which the drivers are listed is the accurate order for this class. Waiting for the Affliction 13 to finish this latest lap. just coming out of the last corner now. A personal best in Sector 2 last time around. And this time around, the lap time is a 2-minute 15.182. So not a new fastest lap for the Affliction, but still well clear of the rest of this TCN-1 field.
Yes, indeed. Looking at the number 75 of Greenhill Heathens coming down that Comrade Straight and in towards the chase, an almighty part of the lap it is indeed. Just behind the second Renault Megane there of the Endurance Experience team. So number 75 and number 76 very close on track at the moment. Just to note that the Greenhill Heathens car doesn't actually have a number there on the side of it. I'll have to get that patched up and sorted before the start of the race next weekend. Forgive the loss of stream at the moment, so I don't know whether that's just me, but I'm not seeing anything on screen at the moment. Hope to get that back. It might just be my poor internet connection, I'm afraid to say.
Chris W265 up to third in class, a 2-minute 15.102. Good work there from Chris as he gets to grips with the TCN-1 car he is in. He has got a little bit of damage on the front right. He's just going over the top of the mountain now in the Lexus number 72. But good speed there, at least, for Chris W265.
It looks like Swift is having a hell of a time with the downhill mountain part, as he has damage and he is in limp home mode as of right now.
Yes, indeed. Apologies, by the way, for the loss of image on the stream at the moment. I think you can still hear our voices. I hope you can still hear our voices, because otherwise we're just talking to ourselves. Hopefully you can still hear us. So apologies for that. We'll try and get that sorted for you as soon as we can. So audio is there, but images are not. This will be a good time, by the way, if you have any questions you'd like to ask us, because normally where I'd sort of fill in the colour bits and so on. It's difficult for me to do so, not being able to see things on track. So I'm going to have to leave it down to Andrew and David to fill us in with what's happening on track. But at the moment, if you have any questions, do feel free to ask us anything that you would like to.
New fastest lap and new provisional pole position in the TCN-1 class has... Oh, no, it's suddenly all of a sudden changed. Chris W265 pulls a 2-minute 14.327 out of nowhere to take the Lexus 72 into provisional class pole position, displacing the Affliction 13, who had just gone quicker with a 2-minute 14.753. So great work there from Chris W265.
And we weren't able to see it. Wonderful. Funny work, isn't it?
The stream will be back up in a second, guys. We're just resetting the times for you so you guys can see actual times when they get set. Yes, indeed. Had a question from Jay Starscream, says, Comms, what are your thoughts on the lineup for GT3 Pro? Let's go first to David. What are your thoughts on the GT3 Pro lineup as we got the stream back? Well, a lot of the teams look familiar from last year. Different classes, of course, usually, but they do look similar, and I know these guys were really fast. All of them were really fast last year in their respective classes, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they run this year in the same class.
I remember when we had the franchise announcement stream, which I think you can go back and view on the GTPlanet YouTube channel. In fact, on my screen at least, it's the first recommended video. So after this qualifying, do go and give that a watch if you've got the time. But I remember when we were announcing those teams, it was just heavy hitter after heavy hitter. For me, it's the star class of the sports car series this year, because every single team in that class is so strong and each has a chance of winning the class come the end of the season. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I got to say that the GT3 Pro class, as has been highlighted, is incredibly strong this year. And that qualifying session was complete testament to that as well. We saw so much action on track and drivers sort of setting lap times within a couple of tenths of a second of each other, which is no mean feat, especially around a circuit as challenging and as long in terms of lap time, at least, as Mount Panorama. Really, really brilliant to see. I've got to say the lineup is as good as it has ever looked in the GTPlanet Sports Car Series. And I'm looking forward immensely to when the lights go green next weekend. We can see there Chris W265 has set the fastest lap time with a 2:14.2. Next best lap time is a whole second slower. The Affection 13 set a faster first sector, but only by a couple of hundredths of a second. But unfortunately, their middle section looks to be somewhat average. We'll wait and see, though, how well they will be able to take advantage of that. I mentioned, of course, at the start of this session, we'd be looking at early 14s, perhaps high 13s. We might be able to even get down to mid 13s at this rate. 24 minutes remaining of the session, and still plenty of time for things to change, for the track to evolve, and for drivers to just get quicker and quicker and even more in the zone.
GTP Jamie just moved up to third professional with a 2:14.8.
Displacing Patrick, who had also just done his fastest lap of the qualifying session so far with a 2:19.968. Something tells me those two are going to have a good battle for the rest of this qualifying session.
They are right next to each other on track.
Yes, indeed. Had a question through from Gary Clark on our YouTube live chat. Thanks so much for getting in touch. Gary says, is it likely that a Code 60 flag might be used, stroke implemented this season? Code 60, to my understanding, is, of course, essentially a full course yellow.
Yeah, it's a full course yellow where the cars are instructed to do 60. I always forget whether it's 60 miles per hour or 60 kilometers per hour. One of the two. At the moment, I don't think it's going to be implemented here. We have the safety car system and the yellow flags. But who knows? It's definitely a system that I'm very in favour of from the Dubai 24 hours. It's something that I think works really well and is much fairer than your kind of standard traditional safety car full course yellow. So who knows? Maybe in a few years' time we might see it here. Hopefully there'll maybe even be the function to do it in future games. Limp home mode for Swift Autosport 9 again, I can see.
Harsk is also in limp home mode. Not good for Swift as he has yet to complete a best lap.
Interesting to see. Down the straight, though, the mountain straight, comes the Lexus CCR of the Wheel Racing team with Chris W265 behind the wheel. So the Wheel Racing with the local team, actually the only local team based in this championship.
This ought to be interesting. They are coming up on Swift Autosport in the mountains. Full course yellow. Safety car will be coming out. So,
is that just as a test run? Or is it because of the cars on in the limp home mode, perhaps causing?
I believe it will be because of cars in limp home mode.
It is indeed. We've got Swift Autosport coming over the top of the mountain at the moment with front end damage on both sides and engine damage. So this is definitely a dangerous situation for the drivers. But everyone doing their jobs at the moment, and GTP Patrick now the next car to catch Swift Autosport 9.
He has slowed down.
Observing the full course yellow very well there.
Yeah, Chris W265, it looks like was unfortunately caught unawares of that.
I do have a question about that. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, before the safety car came out, GTP Patrick 1 has stuck the car that he's driving up to a 2-minute 14.5 and taken provisional second place in the class. Really good work there, and only 0.3 off the time set by Chris W265. This is the driver in the Hyperion BMW 320i.
My question is, for a car in limp home mode, if the caution flag is out, are you permitted to pass the limp home mode car under safety car conditions and catch up to the back of the field?
I thought you were. I thought it would be the same as a white flag car. Cars going slowly on the side of track isn't actually in the race conditions. So I've always think that you're fine to overtake. But I'm very happy to be corrected if I'm wrong.
I believe you are as well. So, but I Patrick did the right thing. Waited till he was down the mountain before he passed him. So, as to not put his car in any sort of danger. Couple
Cars-
of guys making driver changes.
Yeah, coming in to make those driver changes, Chris W265 brings the car in from provisional pole position of a 2-minute 14.2 for Chris W265, who had a bit of a shaky start to the session. Wasn't out there immediately, but a good recovery, and it's currently provisional pole position in the class for the Vile Racing Limited Lexus CCSR. Chris W265, Heather Ant, Jack Shea, and John Hope, the team forming the local squad for the 72. Safety car back up to normal speed.
Huge shout out to GTP Jammy. It's his first race, and I haven't covered the safety car procedures with him as well as I could have. So him observing them very well means he paid very well attention to the rule book, as my whole team did. So it's good to see that.
Yeah, wonderful. Fantastic. Nice to see GTP Jammy out there, of course, as Andrew and myself will probably know very well from the GTPlanet karting series. So nice to see him making his endurance racing debut for David's
Right.
team.
As I was stating in the last couple streams, my entire team will be made up of ex-karting series drivers. So for this race, my lineup is GTP Jammy, GTP KTZ, Cab 114, and Craws 69. You guys may know all of them.
We do indeed.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And very well as well. They've provided some good racing for us, fortunately. So hopefully they'll be able to add that little bit of flair and excitement that we like to see in the GTPlanet Endurance Series. Sports car series. It had to come out, didn't it? Of course, I've made that mistake once already tonight. Sorry.
That's a
about
pound in the box.
it is. We should have an endurance series swear box, shouldn't we? Because I knew it was going to say it. I'm fairly sure I said it during Daytona as well. We can think of some other word that I say too much as well. Indeed is one of them. Let's get back on topic though. Just under 18 minutes remain of the GTPlanet Sports Car Series, the third annual running of the Bathurst 12 Hours at Mount Panorama. Currently look at number 42 of Hyperion. Currently sitting there at the top of the timesheet, a 2:14.5, which is a blindingly quick lap. Coming through Murray's for the ninth time for the Dutch Run squad. It's not going to be anything that sets the timing sheets alight this lap. No, indeed, it's not. A 2:16 that was. So we've got a few more laps in the bag, though, and a few more opportunities to be able to set some faster lap times. Number 166 there we're looking at. Also, they will be looking to pick up the pace as this session progresses onwards. The Dragon Razor Racing outfit in the GT86. I don't believe they've actually set a competitive lap time, or at least the driver may have. I apologise, because some teams have opted for driver changes during this qualifying session, so that might be why it's not registering a best lap time so far. But will be interesting to see with just over 15 minutes remaining of the session as to how quick the GT86 is able to go.
Well, we've got to remember as well, I mean, this is information that's been given to me through the chat, that the fastest lap from the Dragon Razor Racing Toyota at the moment hasn't even been in this session. It was Bambi setting 2-minute 13.207 in quali practice 1. But that car's definitely looked quick. I mean, the Affliction 13 didn't set the fastest lap, but it was still a very, very quick lap indeed in the 2-minute 14s. So could be a potential early favourite for the race because they've definitely got that car set up very, very well.
Interesting. Swift Autosport, I do not believe, ever set a fast lap. So he has swapped cars to Haruchi, who has taken control of the number 78. So that's interesting. Possible that he didn't have his car set up correctly or something like along those lines.
I wonder if the change of the driver assist that car had to do was potentially a bit of a problem, going back onto track and maybe driving the car in a configuration he hasn't done so with before.
That is possible.
On board there with the number 42 Hyperion car going quite slowly, must be said, in towards Murray's corner. It looks like he's going quite slowly, actually, from that camera shot, but it wasn't, in fact. And coming around the final corner to start another lap time. It, again, was quite a slow lap, that one. It's going to be a 2:19 there and thereabouts. So just opting for a few slower laps. We saw this, of course, in the GT3 Pro category qualifying, though, of course, that session was short. We saw drivers opting to set a fast lap, then a couple of slow laps to cool the tyres down and get the rhythm going, and then set another blindingly quick lap. It's a risky strategy, that, because, of course, if you make a mistake on your quick lap, it will potentially put you at something of a disadvantage going later on into the session. You might end up running out of time if you keep on making continuous mistakes. Through the right-hander of Quarry, nice uphill corner that. The camber really able to hug the car in. This, though, the corner that the cars do not like. The front always wants to wash wide going through that left-hander. And over the brow of the hill, fantastic onboard shot from the Hyperion car. Can't see where the track is going. You just have to trust that it's still there. It hasn't disappeared magically over the past 2 minutes or so. Meanwhile, fastest sector last time around going to Sinister Plague, knocking Chris W265 off the top of the timing sheets there. So Sinister Plague now leads Chris W265 on a 2:14.10. So just 0.08 of a second separating the top two.
Yeah, and a lot of pace with the... It's not Chris W265 at the wheel anymore, but it's one of the things with them being a local team. It'll be another driver, but whoever it is, definitely very quick at the moment. 2:14.297 last time around. So in fact, Tom, the gap is actually even less than that, because the 72 set a 2:14.220 earlier in the session. The gap at the moment in the front of this session is 1/100th of a second.
Fantastic. If you want close racing, this most certainly is the place to be able to watching it. I have to say, what's actually interesting, though of course we've had driver changes, is to see the difference in lap times that different people have sort of set. So you can see there, drivers who've been out since the start of this qualifying session, the likes of GTP Patrick 1, GTP Jammy, etc., have also set around about 11 or so laps. But those who have only just sort of come out within the last 10 minutes or so are already on 4 laps. They're already catching right up, trying to get the most amount of track time possible. All drivers now currently on track. We haven't seen anybody sort of sitting in the pit lane for at least a good few minutes or so. But just interesting to see how the different variations take place. There we are on board with the number 166 of the Dragon Razor Racing team. American Run outfit, of course, with the red, white and black livery on the car. Through the final chicane, getting a little bit squirrely once again. That rear-wheel drive not helping things. Excuse that. Sorry about that. Computer trying to tell me it needs to update itself. Going through into Murray's then. Clipping the apex very nicely. Get the maximum amount of speed possible. Bit sideways once again for the team, but coming across that line. Whereabouts will this place them? It's not looking too bad of a lap, actually. It's looking a very competitive lap. Well, it looked to be pretty competitive. Where does that place them then? In terms of that lap, we wait for the timing screens to update, but I don't think that was too bad at all.
It wasn't at all, but it wasn't quicker. It was a 2:14.7 for Sinister Plague on that last lap. And at the moment, that's pretty much the fastest car out on track. Chris W265, or the driver in the Chris W265 car, similarly does a 2:14.793. Time's being turned in now by David B165, a 2:17.123 last time around, about half a second off the best from that car, a 2:16.5. And GTP Harushi, good to see some pace in that car as well, down to a 2:16.7.
Yes, indeed. So 11 minutes remaining of the race. Number 166, they're coming up against some backmarker traffic. I can't quite see who that is from this shot. It looks to be the American Razor Racing Series group in the Lexus CSR. Indeed, it is all very, very close going through the S's. And I think this is going to really hold the Dragon Razor Racing team up, unfortunately. Completely unintentional, of course, but sometimes these things do indeed happen. And
could actually give them a draft here.
You made me jump then. God, blimey.
Sorry.
That's all right. Doesn't matter. I've got my headphones set too loudly. That's actually a very good point, though, there, Andrew. It could give them the draft, and it is giving the Dragon Razor Racing Team, the draft. Will they pull out going into the chase? It's going to put them, unfortunately, though, on the rather unoptimum line going into that chase, and it will mean they're taking a narrower line through the corner. Have they lost maybe a mile an hour's difference going through there? I don't think it'll have had too much difference because the advantage they'll have gained on the straight will be so significant. But that was a perfectly timed bit of slipstreaming there from the American Run outfit.
Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be enough. There's no green sectors at all for Sinister Plague on this lap, and as he crosses the line, the lap is only a 2-minute 15.107, so not good news there for Sinister Plague in terms of that lap, but still fastest car in this practice session.
Yeah, right now the top 4 are only separated by 0.6 of a second. And as far as I know, those are all different cars, which means this BLP is fantastic. Looks like we just had a disconnection.
Yeah, that's the 72. Not good news because they were in second place provisionally in this qualifying practice session. Keep an eye out for GTP Patrick 1. Just set the personal best sector 2 for the number 42 BMW 320i. Just coming through the chase, or has exited the chase now. Could be a good lap time here for the BMW.
Let's wait and see then. So coming in towards the final corner of Murray's and parrying that once again, a lot of corner speed and a nice amount of traction then to come across the line for GTP Patrick. Where will this place him? It was
2:14.6.
So it was a faster lap, no improvement in position, but a very, very quick lap it was in there, indeed. So a couple of personal best sectors there, as you mentioned, Andrew, but no one really going that much quicker. Sinister Plague also on a lap, but grey sectors, as you can see, so nothing really spectacular, even from the current pole sitter in the TCN-1 class.
GTP Patrick's got to keep cool here, because I reckon if that car can hook up a lap and be doing PBs in every sector, they could really give that 2:14.2 from Chris W265 a real run for its money. At the moment, still a 2-minute 14.5, the best lap for the BMW. Bit of pit lane action to tell you about. Sinister Plague has brought the Gazoo Racing liveried Toyota into the pits and is leaving again now. Dylan Likes 88 is in as well with rear end damage to that car, which is being repaired now, and once again on his way again. This is the number 71 Lexus.
Looking currently at the Renault Megane of the Endurance Experience team. They're, of course, in the final parts of the lap, and I believe we have got GTP Jammy behind the wheel of that car. Is that correct at the moment? Coming across the line, that was a 2:14.8. That was a very quick lap time indeed. Third position then. That'll be all right.
Good work there from Jammy, just taking another couple of hundredths out of his fastest lap time. And with this being a debut, this is all confidence inducing for the Finnish driver, graduating from the karting series.
Yes, I got to meet with him briefly. I mean, I haven't spent very much time on track with him, but I get to meet with him briefly once in a while. And he sounds very confident in what he can do. He just was looking forward to getting this out of the way so he could actually get to his first race.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine the week's wait between qualifying and the race start is probably very, very nervous and very tense indeed. Speaking of doing some racing, I'm doing a 24-hour endurance race soon, actually. I've never done it's a sim racing endurance race. I've never done a 24-hour sim racing endurance race, aside from the old games on the old days on GT4 or whatever it was, but I was only about 8 then. So it doesn't really make much difference to me. But I'm really looking forward to that. I've got to say, it's going to be very, very good fun indeed. I shan't mention too much about it because, of course, I'm representing a different organisation here, but I'm looking forward to it immensely. You can follow my Twitter, if you fancy, by the way, at TomBrooksComms, and you can find out more information about that on there. I'll be giving some later updates this week. That's, of course, along with the test of a rallycross car. That's a proper rallycross car later this month as well. So, yeah, that's going to be pretty good fun.
GTP Jammy, looking to lower the lap time in the Renault again, has just set a PB in Sector 3. Needs about 0.3 of a second more to be able to displace GTP Patrick 1 and take back what I reckon is 3rd place in this provisional class grid. Just coming around Murray's now. And across the line. And the lap time is, a 2 minute 14.9. A bit of time lost there in the final sector for GTP Jammy. But good work again there from the rookie.
That is a silver rated rookie. So I'm hoping he does good. I'm just hoping that my team doesn't pull a Stigs on me again and end up going platinum in the middle of the season. Yeah. I remember when I picked up Stigs, he was a relative unknown, and his first race was with me, and he quickly moved up the ranks. So glad to see he's moved on and done well for himself.
Thank you to NASCAR Dude 1400 as well, who has corrected us here in the pronunciation of GTP Haruhi. Fastest lap still for the Japanese driver, 2 minutes 16.717. Good for 5th place provisionally in the class.
Yes, indeed. On board then with the Renault Megane of the moment of the Green Hell Heathens at number 75. We hope to have Heathen Pride back in the comms box at some point, I believe next weekend as well. Be nice to have him back. Always good for a good laugh is Heathen Pride. Into the final part of the lap.
I am looking forward to comms next month or next week.
Yeah, we're still in February. Fortunately, I was going to say, can't go by that quickly. In towards the final corner then goes the Green Hell Heathens Renault Megane. Coming across the line, it's again not going to be anything spectacular. It's just not enough, I'm afraid to say, and still slotting into that 5th position. This is the lap, though, where they need to be able to take advantage. Unfortunately, the car in front, they're not able to take advantage of that slipstream as they're not close enough. And even worse is they're in that dirty air when they're going through the twisty bits, such as going through quarries, etc. It's they're just in the bad situation, the bad part on the track at the moment. Do they cut their losses and back off and then just go for one final flyer? Because, of course, there's only 2 minutes now remaining of the session. Where has that gone? So it's going to be very, very interesting. And I think that Heathens are really just going to have to deal with it and make the best of a bad situation, unfortunately. But it looks like they are currently going to be sitting in 5th place. And that tap to the ball going through there is really not going to help things either.
The gap between Patrick 1 and Jammy is now under 0.2 of a second. GTP Jammy improves yet again to a 2:14.693 last time around. And the number 72 Lexus as well. It's still the 2 minute 14.2s, but it's a 2 minute 14.2 dead now, the new fastest lap in this quali practice 3.
We've seen a couple of disconnects over the last few minutes. If I'm a driver, I might throw away my final lap and go into the pits to take the stint photo before you get disconnected.
Risky business. So a minute remains of the GTPlanet Bathurst 12-hour qualifying session. QP3 we're in currently at the moment. In the TCN-1 category, we've already had QP1, of course, with the GT3, with the TCN-1 cars, and then we've got the GT3 Pro cars. They were QP2, of course, which is a 20-minute sprinting Superpole qualifying session. And this, of course, the final qualifying session of the night prior to the Bathurst 12-hour green flag taking place next Saturday. My goodness, is that going to be one to watch? If this qualifying session has been anything to go by, the grid is going to be so tightly knit throughout the entirety of the field, and I'm looking forward to it immensely. There is the Endurance Experience team coming in towards the final part of the lap through the left and then the right chicane. Number 76. And there goes the disconnections, unfortunately. Oh dear, oh dear. Let's hope people were able to take their best stint times. But that does indeed mark an end to the qualifying session, unfortunately, rather unceremoniously, because...
Unfortunately, I do not believe Jeremy got his best lap in, because he had said it the lap before.
Yeah, unfortunately, though, however, due to the wonders of modern technology, we are able to get the lap times because we had the latest statistics on here going on to the final lap for everyone. So I believe laps will then go back a lap, essentially, if you like, go to that count back to their last completed lap. If they're on a hot lap, it will just go back to their last lap on their fastest lap, etc. But we'll be able to get the footage, at least from YouTube, to be able to make up an idea of how many laps they had set. Unfortunate end to the qualifying here today for the third annual running of the Bathurst 12-hour. But nonetheless, gentlemen, what an exciting session we had there throughout both different classes as well, it's got to be said.
Yeah, taking the TCN-1 class that we've just seen, no drivers could really afford to take a bit of a rest like we saw in the GT3 class, because they were so close together, those top 4 or 5 cars. And that spells good for a really, really close race around Mount Panorama yet again. Wouldn't be the first time that we've seen a close battle between 4 or 5 cars over the mountains. So, yeah, a really good qualifying session. Oh, and just to say, Chris W265 did actually set a faster lap on that very last lap, a 2-minute 14.071. The fastest lap in Quali Practice 3. Great work from him. And, yeah, a really, really strong qualifying for the number 72 Lexus.
Incredible. So we didn't quite get down into the 213s as we had predicted, but a flat 214, considering we were setting sort of 216s at the start of this event. Incredible lap times there from everybody, and what an astonishing effort from all involved in the TCN class, and of course in the GT3 Pro class as well. It's going to be an absolutely door-to-door, bumper-to-bumper, action-packed Bathurst 12 hours next week, I am sure. We may get the elements, of course, of rain coming into play as well. Never counted out from Bathurst. Never count anything out from Bathurst. One thing is certain is it's going to be very, very action-packed indeed.
Really looking forward to this race. I'm going to be both team manager and on comms for that race. Luckily, it falls right into where my time zone actually works well with this race.
Wonderful. Fantastic to hear. So, gentlemen, let's then talk, shall we, about the race next weekend. And if we could have a winner, if you could pick a winner in both different classes, so if you could pick a winner in the GT3 Pro class and the TCN class, let's go to Andrew first. Based on the qualifying performances today, who would you say could be in with a chance of taking the honours in both classes?
Well, we'll start with GT3. We know how strong Team Redline are, so I think for me they would be early favourites going into the race. A lot of experience in those teams, a lot of speed, and I think they're going to take some beating next weekend. TCN-1, I think it's really, well, similar to GT3. Anyone could win it, but if you're going to push me, I'm going to say the tyre team, the international racing entity. I think overall they've probably got the strongest squad, so I would go for them.
Me personally, I would have to actually lean towards Top Notch Racing winning in GT3 Pro, and probably I'm gonna have to say it's a toss up in TCN-1 so far. So really looking forward to this race.
Fantastic. Looking forward to that. We've just had news from GTP AJ as well that Team Redline, so the team that Andrew there tips for top honours in the GT3 Pro class, may have something of a hindrance. They may potentially have to start from the pit lane due to not qualifying their rookie. that is going to... This is turning into an episode, a soap opera. This is turning into an episode of Neighbours since we're in Australia. My goodness. Action taking place all over. Just another update from AJ states that they may have to remove him from the lineup and take 3 warnings instead. So we'll have to keep you up to date as to how that goes. Don't forget, of course, all the results today have been provisional. So we'll wait and see what the finalised lineup is going to be. Keep an eye on the GTPlanet Sports Car Series Bathurst 12-hour thread with all the latest updates. And I'm sure the qualifying results will be posted at some point early next week.
This is a problem. My commentator curse is getting even more powerful. It's affecting teams 1 week before the green flag now.
Normally it was only 30 seconds. What on earth? What power have you... What's possessed you there, Andrew?
I've no idea.
Dear, oh dear. So the Bathurst 12-hour then will kick off at 1900 UTC next Saturday, the 20th of February. That is going to be spectacular, I'm sure. Starts at 6 a.m. local time if you're in Oz. Lobby, of course, opens at 6:30, and I believe that's when we're going to be starting the pre-race broadcast as well. So we'll be on air live from 6:30 in the evening until 7:30 the following morning. I'm looking forward to that immensely. We'll have a series of commentators throughout. Of course, we'll have David up here in the commentary box. David Fuller, of course, who's joined us for the coverage of the qualifying session here today. I'll be up here as well, and we'll also have the wonderful Andrew Mather in the box, as well as a few other people, I am sure. One thing, though, is for certain, it's going to be action-packed indeed.
Really looking forward to this race, guys. Hopefully it's a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be absolutely...
Over the last 2 years, we've always known Bathurst, Mount Panorama. It always gives us good racing, no matter what the guys are racing in. So, yeah, I can't wait for next week. It's going to be a brilliant one, and let's hope it's a clean one as well.
Yes, indeed. So that, of course, all kicks off 1900 UTC, 6 a.m. local time next Saturday, the 20th of February. So we hope you can join us from around about 6:30 UTC or 5:30 if you're in Australia for the start of the GTPlanet Bathurst 12 hours. The 3rd annual running comes your way next weekend. We will see you then very, very soon indeed. In the meantime, thank you from myself, from David, and from Andrew Mather up here in the commentary box. We'll see you next time for some more action-packed racing, and the green flag will go out here at the Bathurst 12 hour at Mount Panorama.